All right. Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back. Reference Roundtable time, of course. It's Thursday. It's 3:30. Where else would you be other than talking books with your favorite librarians? So this week, it's myself, Lacey, and Michael. No Sarah this week. We're kind of playing like musical Reference Roundtable.
We are.
Because next week, I will be gone.
Oh my goodness.
So it'll be Sarah and Michael. So it's the duos this month.
It's good to be back. It's good to be back. And the three of us will get together.
It'll happen.
It'll
happen. It always does. So, of course, welcome back. We do this every week. We talk about all kinds of things, lots of book stuff, but a little bit of everything when it comes to what we do here at the library. And this week, we wanted to kind of celebrate something that's going on right now. And I think we've talked about it on another episode recently, but we're currently in Hispanic Heritage Month, and it's kind of a different one. You know, most of them are like the month of October or the month of February. This one actually goes from September 15th to October 15th. So we're kind of towards the tail end.
We are, yeah.
Five more days. But we kind of wanted to celebrate it the best way we know how.
For sure.
Trivia. We love trivia. We know you all love trivia and are also amazing at it. So I have created some trivia questions. They're kind of all over the place.
Okay.
There's some book ones.
All right.
There's some sports. There's some culture. A little bit of everything.
Okay.
Because I want to just, we all have our strengths and our weaknesses. So I thought this would hit everybody.
I only have strengths.
We'll see. So of course I will be asking these, aloud to Michael, but please join in, answer,
please.
We love to see all of your knowledge.
Right. I haven't seen any of these questions. I'm kind of playing by myself here. So you are the friends that I need to phone.
He's your phone. You're his. They're your phone of friends.
Yes.
I was trying to
you got
too much going on there. So yeah, I suppose we can just kind of dive right in. Like I said, they're kind of all over the place as far as what they're about. Some of them, I just expect you to know the answer. Some of them, I'll give you some multiple choice. So it's a cornucopia. And of course, I didn't create a fancy Jeopardy like Sarah does. I did my old timey paper.
It's okay. It's okay to be analog every once in a while. Switch it up.
But we'll just have to use our listening ears. So, are you ready?
Oh God, you said listening ears. Now I'm not so sure, but I'll do my best. Let's do it. I'm ready. Listening ears.
I don't think this one's too bad.
Okay.
So this one is a multiple choice. What team did Puerto Rican baseball Hall of Famer Roberto Clemente play for? A, the Philadelphia Phillies, B, the Pittsburgh Pirates, or C, the New York Giants?
Was it C, the New York Giants?
We'll give them a moment to answer.
We just talked about him in a recent episode too, I think.
You might have.
I think we just talked about it.
I knew this one, but I'm kind of a big baseball fan.
I think Sarah.
I'm not your average.
When Sarah and Leah did their 3 to Go's for me, I think one of them gave me a Roberto Clemente biography.
Oh yeah.
And I read it at like the flap, and
like,
so
sure,
I probably said this answer in a recent episode.
You're like, I should know.
I'm pretty sure it's New York Giants.
All right, we'll give everybody like another couple seconds here while I'm just chatting randomly and filling space to answer. Okay, so you ready for the answer?
Yeah.
The answer is B, the Pittsburgh Pirates.
Well, shoot.
Widely considered one of the greatest to ever play the game of baseball, Roberto Clemente died at the young age of 38 in a plane crash while bringing supplies to an earthquake-stricken Nicaragua.
Wow, that's terrible.
He was flying. He had, I believe, he had chartered a plane with his own money because he wanted to make sure the supplies had gotten there. There was a lot of corruption and things like that going on in Nicaragua, and he wanted to bring the stuff there personally to make sure people got it.
I know he was like
he passed away at 38.
A big humanitarian and philanthropist during the time he was with us. So he did a lot with the time he had.
Yeah. And definitely still remembered today.
For sure.
All right. So the next question, you just got to know it. But it is a book question.
Okay.
So we're entering the book world.
Okay. Books, baseball.
I think you're all going to know this one. I feel it in my bones. Which Latin American author wrote 100 Years of Solitude? Don't say it aloud yet. We'll give them a moment. I thought you would. I bet you all know it.
Have you read this book?
I haven't. I know the story of
Mhm.
it, but I haven't actually read the whole book.
I read it a few years back, and I know it's like the pinnacle of magical realist literature, and it's interesting. It's grosser than I thought it would be, though. There's like elements of it that are
I have
very
definitely
disturbing.
heard people
There's
say that.
Elements of, yeah, lots of taboos in that book, but it's an interesting book, and he as a writer has just like, oh, I gave away gender there, but has really like burst down a wall that lots of people have then followed his path down. Like I feel like
Miranda July. To throw back to our
Miranda July,
she likes to
magical
talk
realism. There's an argument to
Well,
be
we
made.
have an answer here from Dogma, and of course she got it right. She said Marquez, and that of course is the answer.
Gabriel Garcia Marquez.
Gabo, as he is affectionately referred to, is considered to be one of the greatest authors of the 20th century, and also won the Nobel Prize for Literature in 1982.
Cool. Colombian, I believe, right?
I just know this. I think Colombian,
Okay.
yes.
I'm pretty sure. Because
yes, I know they had like a big state funeral for him when he passed away. I think he passed away in the last like 15 years or
Not
so.
too long ago. And
the answer was Gabriel Garcia Marquez.
Cool.
And there is a movie out on that book if you ever want to watch it.
They mentioned him in that The Man Who Could Move Clouds memoir we read long ago. That's Colombia. That's why I was thinking.
All right. So the next question is history.
Okay.
And it's multiple choice. The ruins of Machu Picchu are remnants of what civilization? A, Aztecs, B, Incas, or sorry, I switched these around. Well, we'll just go with it. B, Incas, C, Mayas. So Aztec, Inca, or Maya.
And you said Machu Picchu?
Machu Picchu.
And B is Inca?
Yeah. Well, Bill didn't need your help. He already said Inca.
It's Inca.
And it is Inca. The Incas built Machu Picchu around 1450 and abandoned it about 100 years later when the Spanish began their conquest and colonization of Peru.
Wow. I'd love to go visit.
Yes, definitely on the list of like things to see before you die.
We did remember trivia just at the back in September. We had that question about like the oldest operating university in the Western Hemisphere. That's in Lima, Peru too. I'd love to get down there and see all of that. That's so cool. Yeah.
You guys impressed me. I thought that would maybe trip you up, with the different civilization names.
It helps that I've read 1491. I think Charles Mann is the author, and it goes really into depth with the Inca, and it's just fascinating reading. I highly recommend it. But I've read books.
All right. So question 4, we're back to a book.
Okay.
And this is, you just got to know it. No multiple choice.
Okay.
I think you're all going to get this one too. Who wrote The Motorcycle Diaries?
Okay.
So who is the author of the book The Motorcycle Diaries, also turned into a movie?
You know what I always get this mixed up with? Zen and the Art of Motorcycle Management.
I can see that.
I always get them mixed up in my head, and I misremember who is
they're
who.
Both, they're very different books, but they're both bestsellers, and there's not a lot of bestsellers with like motorcycle in the title.
Of that era.
Yeah.
They're very, very much of the same era, I feel like. Very like...
Yeah. I buy it.
Okay.
Are you bursting to answer it? Because I think you can go.
Not really, because I hate pronouncing this person's name. It's Che Guevara, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Ernesto Che Guevara.
Guevara. I've always.
So, of course, it's the Cuban revolutionary.
Yeah.
Everybody called him Che Guevara, but his full name was Ernesto Guevara. So the Motorcycle Diaries was actually published like decades after his death. It's an account of a 9-month motorcycle trip he took in the 1950s with a friend of his, and they traveled over 5,000 miles across South America.
Huh.
So
I should read that. It's like canon now at this point, I would say. Huh.
All right.
I know we have it in the collection. I've seen it recently.
Yeah.
I'll have to check that one out.
Yeah, he actually wrote a surprising amount. I think just most of it was published after he died, but he kept track of a lot of
revolutionary figures are often very verbose. They often
you want to get your views out there, right? Like,
right. We say you get up on your soapbox for a reason, I suppose. Makes sense to me.
All right. So we're ready for number 5. This is another one you just got to know. I think you're all going to know this.
Okay.
One as well. The musical Evita is loosely based on this Argentinian woman's life? What is her name?
This is maybe the only Andrew Lloyd Webber musical I like, and I know that's a controversial thing to say, but I think this is the only Andrew Lloyd Webber musical I like, and I'll say it again. And
Bill says it's a movie too, and I'm
is.
not sure if he's talking about the Motorcycle Diaries or Evita, because it's true for both.
Right. Well, and Evita famously stars Madonna, and we all know that, like, I love me some Madonna. And then there's you saw what's her name, Patti LuPone, just doubled down recently about saying, like, you know, she always likes to tease Madonna about Evita, saying she can't act.
I didn't know that.
Oh,
but
and
I
you should
believe
watch
you.
it's she and Aubrey Plaza do a Hot Ones together, and they talk about it. So this is fresh on my mind.
Well, everybody's getting it right. Bill and Dagna both say Eva Perón.
Eva Perón.
She was married to Juan Perón, the president of Argentina, and was so popular with the people there. After her death from cancer at the age of 33, she was given a state funeral, something usually reserved only for heads of state. So.
They were gonna build a really huge monument to her.
And I'm
too.
sure
It
you're
didn't
all
happen.
singing "Don't Cry for Me, Argentina" right
Absolutely.
now in your head. So you're
Well,
welcome.
I'm thinking, Evita, Evita. I was even just doing this the other day. I love to do this when she's talking. I love that movie. Yeah, I think
She's an incredibly interesting
very
person.
interesting. We have at least 2 different biographies of her in the collection, and she's really important in fashion history too, because she's when you think of Christian Dior's new look, the big skirt, she was his like model that he really used to popularize that style. So she's interesting on so many different fronts.
All right,
Complex
well,
individual.
Good job, everybody. You guys are doing as amazingly as I knew you would. All right. So number 6 here is multiple choice.
Okay.
Which U.S. president first introduced National Hispanic Heritage Week? So which president introduced National Hispanic Heritage Week? I'll give you 3 options. Lyndon Johnson, Jimmy Carter, or Bill Clinton. So those are your 3 options.
Oh, okay. So I was gonna guess Reagan, which means I need to either go a little bit in the past or a little bit in the future. Do I want to like skip Bush, go to Clinton?
Those are not one of your options.
I think I'm gonna go to. I think I'm going to guess Clinton, but other folks can guess. It's either Clinton or Carter in my head. I could be completely wrong, but I'm gonna guess it's Clinton because I feel like the 90s
Does it
is
feel like
when,
a Clinton move?
well, just feels like 90s is when we really started to engage with identity politics, and the words that we use
Sure.
today are kind of were fomenting during the 90s. So I'm thinking this is a 1990s thing, and I'm gonna go with Bill Clinton.
All right. All right. I'll give everybody a moment to answer here while I'm talking, and then I'm going to lay some facts on you.
Okay.
The answer is actually A, Lyndon Baines Johnson.
Nice.
He signed a bill into law proclaiming a Hispanic Heritage Week in September of 1968.
Wow, that's
So
really
it's a lot
cool.
older than I think a lot of people realize, which is great.
That's awesome. I need to like Lyndon Johnson. I like civil rights active. Like he has
He's a very interesting.
he has such a
president.
rich relationship with civil rights without necessarily being. I don't know. It's an interesting thing to look at. But wow, that's cool. I'm glad it's been around. that
And
long.
we have a visitor. Semhar says, my favorite.
Oh, hello.
Hello. Hopefully you're playing along as well.
Yes.
And I'm sure doing amazing. All right. This one, I don't know if this is, I'm going to say this is a cultural question, I guess.
Okay.
And this is multiple choice. What city is called the Paris of South America?
I know this. And it
What
relates.
city is called the Paris of South America? And I'll give you 3 choices. A, Lima, Peru. B, Buenos Aires, Argentina. Or C, Quito, Ecuador. So that's A, Lima. B, Buenos Aires. C, Quito.
This has a lot to do with the previous
Paris
question.
of South
And
America.
I even mentioned Christian Dior and, you know.
Just let them answer. Semhar got it.
Yeah.
Of course she did.
It's Buenos Aires.
It is Buenos Aires. Why? Why is it called that?
Because the infrastructure, the city design, and the Beaux Arts architecture.
It is also, it has wide boulevards, and it also has a Parisian-style cafe culture.
Yeah.
That is really not found anywhere else in
It does
South
look
America.
a lot like Paris if you look at pictures of it, I believe it.
Dogma said B as well, which is Buenos Aires. So
Nice. I'd love to go there. I
and
really
so
would.
did Bill. So
Cool.
I honestly, I was looking at pictures of it and I was like, I see it. It's
Yeah.
really beautiful. They have a really, really just like outstanding architecture.
For sure.
It's kind of goofy because it's just not what you think of when you think of like South American architecture. So I definitely see why it's called that.
Yeah, for sure.
All right. So moving on to question 8. This is a music question.
Okay.
And you just got to know it. Just got to know it.
I listen to music. I'm familiar.
All right. This a fabulous lady was born in Cuba in 1925 and rose to prominence as the Queen of Salsa. What was her name?
Okay.
So she unfortunately has passed away now, but she was definitely around when I was growing up. I saw her all over the place. So let everybody answer. Who is the Queen of Salsa?
Hey, I think I was just talking with my friend about this woman. Like,
I don't know. I'm not sure.
Okay.
Bill's got it, so I'm going to hide it from him.
Okay.
Because he knows.
I mean, is it Celia Cruz?
It absolutely is Celia Cruz. She recorded 37 studio albums, sold over 10 million records, toured extensively, won 2 Grammys, 3 Latin Grammys, and even had a number of acting credits to her name.
Incredible.
She's a busy lady.
Yeah.
I always remember her like fabulous, like shiny, sparkly clothes.
Yeah.
And she always had like feathers in her hats, and she was.
Did she have a very like almost deep voice?
Yes.
Yes. My dad always played this like Celia Cruz CD when I was growing up. I don't know why, but I grew up listening to her.
Singer.
Mm-hmm.
All right. I knew you all would get that too. I tried to make them not like super obvious questions, but I didn't want to make them like painfully.
This is fun.
Painful.
It's all over. It's all over the place, like you said, but they're all still like kind of connected. Like I love it.
All right. Like, I think this one is kind of tricky, but I did give options, so that helps. What was the first U.S. bestseller written by a Mexican author? We've got and these are all Mexican authors. I made sure. I don't have like, not trying to throw you off. Mm-hmm. A, The Old Gringo by Carlos Fuentes. B, Like Water for Chocolate by Laura Esquivel. Or C, Pedro Paramo by Juan Rulfo. Okay. So that's The Old Gringo by Fuentes, Like Water for Chocolate by Laura Esquivel, and Pedro Paramo by Juan Rulfo. I keep wanting to say that wrong.
I have a guess. And it's like an educated guess. It's a guess I'm fairly confident in, but we'll see.
I was trying to be very accurate and so somebody wouldn't be like, well, see, they're from so-and-so country. I was trying to be
This is very interesting. I'm excited to
Ellen's
know the
got
answer.
a guess of B, when that's Like Water for Chocolate.
I'm guessing C.
Give everybody another quick moment here.
I'm guessing C, Pedro Paramo.
All right. I'll give you the answer here. It is neither B nor C.
Okay, great.
It is The Old Gringo by Carlos Fuentes. So The Old Gringo was actually published in 1985, which is later than you would think.
Yeah.
Pedro Paramo actually came out, I believe, in the 50s, but it wasn't like a bestseller. It wasn't. It was well known, but not a bestseller. And B, Like Water for Chocolate, I think came out in like 89.
Yeah,
so like a few years later. So anyway, The Old Gringo, I actually kind of thought it sounded really interesting. It is a novel, so it's not real, but it's centered around the real life disappearance of American writer Ambrose Bierce.
Oh.
Ambrose Bierce went missing in Mexico in 1913 and was just never, like, nobody knows what happened to him. I mean, obviously they assumed he was killed, but they just don't know. So I thought that sounded like a really interesting book.
Does. It kind of sounds like a Sarah book. She might like that one. So, I mean, that sounds interesting to me too, though.
So that was the first U.S. bestseller.
And it was The Old Gringo by Fuentes.
Yep.
I'll have to look that up.
Okay.
Cool.
You guys are doing great. This is the last question, so no pressure, but you all have to get it right. All right. So this is another cultural question, I would say. After Spanish, what is the second most spoken language in Mexico? I'll give you 3 options. So the first one's English. The second one is Nahua. And C is Mixtec. These are all 3 languages that are actually spoken there. They actually have a lot of different languages spoken in Mexico. But what's the second most? So English, Nahuatl, or Mixtec?
As uninteresting as this guess is, I'm going to guess English. just because of globalism and all that jazz and American
Not a
media
bad guess.
and
Not
like
a bad
Spanglish
guess.
music. I don't know. But I also know like the indigenous Mexican communities are very rooted in both those other like language traditions too. And I just don't have a concept of how populous those groups are. So I'm guessing English just because,
We have a few guesses.
but
So
I really
Camille
don't
says
know.
C, which is Mixtec.
Okay.
Bill says Nahuatl,
How is Nawa spelled?
and it's Nahuatl.
Ah,
And anyway, so we have everybody's guessing. Dogma says English. Bill says Nahuatl, and it actually is Nahuatl.
okay, that was my second guess. I
It is
can't.
spoken by over 1.5 million people, and it actually is the native language of the Aztecs. Is how it got
Cool.
its beginning. So it's still spoken by a fair amount of people down
That
there.
is awesome. Like,
And there's actually a ton of languages, like different
hmm,
native languages down there. Mexico and Central America. If
yeah,
you start looking, there's a lot.
so
I think
cool.
Mixtec was spoken by about 500,000 people.
Okay, that's still a decent
Yeah,
population. It's more than there are people in Sioux City.
by a few.
By a few, maybe like more than 10.
So yeah, that was my 10 questions that I had. I think you all did pretty good. Like I said, I tried to mix it up to kind of keep
Yeah,
everybody on their toes.
that was fun. That was festive.
It was, yeah.
Got me
And now we
excited.
all know a little bit more about
Yes.
all kinds of things, countries, people,
Culture,
music.
music, the publishing one, that one really like got me. That was
Yeah,
interesting.
I thought that was kind of a fun
It's
one.
super. And then Lyndon Johnson
Yeah.
starting Hispanic Heritage Week. That's also really fascinating to
Yeah,
me.
1968. So it's been, I mean, it was a week at that time and not a full month, but it's been around for over 50 years, well over 50 years now. So
Wow. Well, that's awesome. I mean, we really it's a rich tradition that has its place here. Like it's an important part. Like Mexican and Hispanic history is American history. It really is.
absolutely.
Like the separations are kind of
And
new and artificial. I
yeah,
don't know. It's
and
like,
and honestly, like it's a resurgent time right now. I feel
yeah,
like for Hispanic authors,
yes.
the amount of books we've talked about, even just on like Roundtable
Mm-hmm.
here, like I'm gonna
Sylvia
butcher.
Moreno
Yep,
Garcia.
yep. I was just about to say that. I was like, I knew her first name was Sylvia, and it was escaping me. But we also read that the man
Who Could Move
who
Clouds. I forget the author's
yeah,
name.
but there's a lot of great books that came on the last couple of years by Hispanic
And
authors.
I think
So
Sylvia Moreno Garcia is one of those people that's like walked down that path Gabriela Garcia Marquez
hmm
put, even though like she uses magical realism in a more accessible way and makes more popular
hmm
fiction, she still definitely is part of that lineage. It's really fascinating to draw those connections.
I don't remember what it was called, so apologies. But she has a ton of them. But Isabel Allende
Uh-huh.
just came out with another book, and she's
Oh,
like
yeah,
she's
yeah.
up there with Marquez as being like one of like the pinnacle like 20th century, Hispanic authors, and she's still writing,
Okay, so
thankfully.
them and then Che Guevara, like we're talking about these authors are not only important in the literary world, but politically extremely influential and important people. If you look at Isabel Allende's background, like she fled the coup in Chile, right?
hmm
Like, and Gabriel Garcia Marquez, I know had some connections. I feel like he's appeared in a few Pablo Escobar documentaries I've watched and stuff. Like, these were very influential people
Yeah,
beyond just their
I
authorship.
think I think was it. I don't know if I remember if it was Marquez or Borges, two the different
Hmm.
countries, but like they were so like influential and things like that. I know at least one of them ran for like
Yeah,
president or prime
something like
minister or something
that.
like that. So yeah, a lot of them are very important to their countries.
Yeah, it's, I think Latin American literature is so fascinating. And I think it's like one of the most fascinating literary hotspots that in the world. And I think speaking of hotspots, we also are lucky in Sioux City. We have so much like Hispanic and Latin American specifically, like Mexican American culture, like
hmm
at our doorstep and in our community, and how
Different
lucky.
like festivals and things that you
Yeah,
can just like drive 5 minutes and go to.
right. Like I think a few episodes in the past when we had those professors from Morningside, they were here
hmm
and sharing about the archive of local Mexican American history here in Sioux City and how they spoke to how long it goes back and how rich this history is. I know on the 27th, October 27th, that's when the public museum does their Day of the Dead
Okay,
program, Dia de los Muertos, and their theme this year is sort of around like Latin music, I believe. So that should be really
nice,
cool. We'll have an ofrenda here. I'm gonna put that
good.
up probably next week or so. So more ways to engage with Hispanic culture even after Hispanic Heritage Month ends, because it ends and then we have Day of the Dead very shortly after.
All right. Well, I think that's about it for today.
I have no idea what we'll be doing next week. It's kind of on. I will probably go think on that after this, since and then when Sarah comes back, I'll bring her my bright ideas.
And I won't be here, but maybe I'll be watching. Maybe I'll be a viewer.
And you'll be here in our hearts.
Always.
Always.
Well, thank you all for joining us. I had a lot of fun
Yeah.
making up those trivia questions, so hopefully you had fun answering them and you learned a little bit.
I did.
Oh, and I just noticed Bill says Old Gringo is a movie, and I didn't know that, but it is a movie, and it had Gregory Peck in it. I think
Ooh.
it came out in like '89, and I was like, oh,
Very cool.
a senior Gregory Peck. I love it.
Adam could help you track that down easily.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
But I heard it like did not get good reviews. Like it's a good story, but they said like they didn't like do well turning it into a movie. I can't speak from experience. I haven't seen it, but
Yeah.
I mean, they all must be pretty good books. If I feel like most of the ones I mentioned, they were all turned into movies.
Right. They were optioned.
They must be good.
Yes. Yeah, so there's something to that for sure.
All right. Well, thanks again for
Yeah,
joining
thank
us.
you
We'll
all.
be some of us will be back next week,
Yep.
and we'll talk more about books and fun library things.
Thanks for
So,
playing trivia with me.
Thank you, and we'll see you all later.
Yeah. Bye.
Bye-bye.